Good morning and welcome to my garden. It's February, another month, another opportunity to show you my garden. Let's go for a walk and see what's happening this month. This Eastern Wedge garden, I was given some Rosella plants from a friend and I've had my first harvest from them. I'm going to make jam out of them. I also have this planted up with beans on this side, tomatoes on this side, and some brassicas here. That'll be the first of my winter crop. Contour 1. From this garden, I'm harvesting these little chilies, which could be bird's eye chilies. If anyone knows, please let me know. And I'm also harvesting these longer chilies. I think they're cayenne peppers. I've harvested a few capsicum. The plants are just getting into production now. And looks like very soon I'll be harvesting my first pineapple from the garden. Looks like it's almost ripe. I'm picking the occasional papaya. And it looks like this morning, here's one ready to harvest. My apricot that suffered through the wet weather, I think I've lost it. I don't think it's coming back. The nectarine and the other apricot and the other nectarine are doing fine. I've been picking beans from my trellis. On this trellis, I'm growing purple king beans, cucamelon, and rock melon. Over this side, I've got my first rock melon growing. It's looking good. Zinnias planted here. The chop and drop row has come back very strongly after its prune a couple of months ago. I pruned it down to knee height. Well, it's above my height now. I've made my first elderberry cordial from the elderberry flowers. It's a beautiful rainbow. Good morning. So this is ready for another chop back, but I'm going to wait until we get some rain, which should be in the next couple of days. It'll be easier for the plants to bounce back after the rain, and the rain will water the ground before I cover it with the mulch. I've got a very prolific pumpkin vine this year on Contour 2. You can see them all over the place. This chair had 3 pumpkins growing on it, and the other day I counted 25 pumpkins. The asparagus has been growing well, so I expect to be able to harvest that in the new season. I've lost all my rhubarb with the hot, wet weather, except for this one. So I'm going to have to learn a bit about how to keep rhubarb alive, because I had 6. 3 of them were seedlings and they didn't survive the heat. And then the other 3 were mature plants and they didn't survive the rain. My grapevines seem to be really struggling. I don't know if it's pests or the weather, but they're really struggling. So this one's still looking healthy in itself, but all of this had foliage on it and it's all died back. There's another big pumpkin. That one will easily be 5 kilos. My grapevine's still okay, it's just not growing. I think some insect is picking at it, pulling all the leaves off. The bananas have grown back. Most of these are going to have to be used as chop and drop because they can't stay there with the trellis, but that's okay. I just want to leave them a little bit longer so I don't drop them on top of the pumpkin. I still hope to move one of the pups. Last time I tried, the pups were buried in so deep that when I tried to dig them out, I just broke them off. My windbreak is taller than me now. This windbreak does a really good job at blocking the wind. You stand on this side and there's significantly less wind than there is on the other side. It's been good to have so many pumpkins. We've been able to share them with other people. Isn't that a lovely vista looking up through the archway? I'm looking forward to getting this retainer wall done. Once I've done that, I intend to put a second arch there. And then we can grow even more things up and over. I've removed all the rocks from around the Jaboticaba. My next step will be to move the Jaboticaba so I can dig out that section of the pond there. The seeds I planted in this bed didn't come up. Not sure why, but it's a problem I'm having with a few of my beds. They're just not growing seeds. I'm harvesting lemons and limes from this bed at the moment. North Wedge Garden. I've planted this up too. So we've got some climbing beans on this side of the trellis. I've got some tomatoes on that side of the trellis, although they're not up yet, so I suspect the seeds I used were pretty old. So I'm going to have to replant them. And I've planted some red cabbage and kale in this bed. All my carrots came up. Contour 1 on the north. The chop and drop is growing back a little bit slower than it has over there. Clearly there are plants that are more suited to chop and drop regularly than others. This Tristaniopsis has hardly grown since I planted it. Compare that with the pigeon pea that's already had 2 chops. So in terms of syntropics, that's not going to be a plant that's going to be able to grow fast for me. So I'm going to need to plant some other plants that will grow faster among these. That one can stay. It might grow up later. Either that or the shade will crowd it out and it'll die. Then it won't be part of the syntropics plan anyway. I have watermelon growing on this trellis. It'll be interesting to see how well the vine goes at holding itself up and holding up the fruit. That one's a good size. Didn't know watermelon had hairs on it. This bean plant is almost finished. When the season changes, I'll pull it off and then I'll be able to plant something else under it. These carrots here were all planted from the seed head of a carrot I'd previously grown. I found it really hard to get seeds to grow in the ground, and so I just tapped the carrot heads on the top, and for whatever reason it worked. They all grew. And I've also planted some brassicas here. We've got some radish coming up, and I think I'm waiting for cabbages. So it's still pretty warm around here now. It's still definitely summer, and we've still got a month or two of really hot and potentially stormy weather. But I'm planting my winter crop now so it can get established before the heat comes. I have made a new decision about how I run this bed. Initially, when I dug all these beds, I put swales in along the front. They're just mini swales, but they're big enough to capture the rain from a heavy downpour and to slow it down and to sink it in the ground. That's great, except that it creates a mowing problem in that we can't get close to the edge with the ride-on because we'll slip in and might get stuck. So as I consider what to do about that, I realise that I probably don't need the swale to capture the water because I have a chop and drop row which stands up nice and high, and so any water coming down will be caught by that and slowed down and it will sink in. And then beyond that I have my vegetable row, and that has been built up with compost and manure, and that is higher than the ground behind it as well. So I've got 2 spaces here where water flowing down the hill will be captured. I don't need that swale. On the side of a chop and drop row, it's okay for the grass to grow in a little bit. It'll be shaded out by the plants. The chop and drop row will prevent it from growing into the fruit trees and vegetable area. So I'm actually in the process of filling it in so that when we mow, we can put our wheels up closer and get rid of this tall grass that grows. We have a similar system over on Contour 1 on the east, and it's working quite well. Here's another papaya. It's got a funny shape, this one. There you go. Contour 2 on the north, I have top dressed this with worm castings, mushroom compost, more worm castings, horse manure, charcoal, and spoiled silage. So this bed is being all prepared for potatoes to grow this season. Contour 3 on the north. Most of the chop and drop plants I planted here have died. They just weren't suitable. Camellia here has survived, and a couple of other plants have survived. The pigeon pea is fine, so it seems to me that I need to rethink what plants I plant. The succulents that I've been planting, some of them are alive, but most of them have really struggled. I typically don't water my chop and drop row. I had a watermelon plant along this row, but something kept damaging the watermelons and they just went rotten. So that was very disappointing, and I don't quite know what caused the problem. So this end of Contour 3, I haven't done much with this. This bed was established just before summer, and so it's been hot and I've not spent a lot of time in it. But I have created this path, and you can see the shape of the bed now. Next job is to remove this soil pile so we can actually walk around the bed rather than having to walk around the soil pile. I hadn't grown corn for a long time, and when I checked it, I thought it looked a little bit early to harvest it. I went and checked my planting book and it suggested I should harvest it 3 weeks from when I checked it. Well, I came back 2 weeks and it was all shriveled and significant caterpillar damage. I think we got 2 feeds for the 3 of us out of all these plants. So it was really disappointing. I have 3 varieties of sweet potato here. I don't know what colour they are yet. According to my planting book, I should be able to pick them this week. So I will get on to that. And that's another one. And this is the 3rd one. I think this one's just your typical orange. I lost that apple with all the wet weather too, but this one's doing okay. This bed was also difficult to plant in. It just didn't strike. My pomegranates are coming very close to harvest. It's still a bit hard. There's no softness in that. It'll be exciting to have my first harvest of pomegranates. Passion fruits I planted under this tree are growing really well. Probably should encourage them to lean the other way. They're leaning on each other and that's pulling them back. Cucumbers all done. So I'm not really harvesting anything much from the garden at the moment other than beans. But still, it's a lovely place to be. And I'm thankful for the very tranquil place to be, lovely place to come and spend some time.